We find in this week's Parsha, Chaisara, a story about Shidduchim, really one of the first Shidduchim in the Torah. Um, and the Torah goes at great length to teach us the story. It seems quite clear that the Torah is trying to teach us ourselves how we should approach this whole Parsha of Shidduchim. And the Pasuk says that after the Shidduch was completed, the pasuk is in Perek Kaf Daled, pasuk Samach Vav. Yisaper Eved Yitzchak is called Dvar Mashasa. That Yitzchak, that Eved Eliezer came back to Yitzchak, and he told him the whole story. What's the idea of telling the whole story? So we find the Brisker Rav explains by when Moshe Rabbeinu met Yisrael that it was Misaper, the miracles that happened in Mitzrayim, and I believe that according to this Brisker Rav we can understand this pasuk very well, because Rashi says here that the sipur was that he revealed the miracles that happened. It was Kritz Derech, and that Rivka came with Eliezer's tefillah. But there's a very, very big question we have to ask in Rashi, and that's seemingly Rashi left out one of the main miracles, because we know that when Rivka was by the well, the water came up to greet Rivka, and that was one of the major signs that Eliezer knew that she was the right one. So why does Rashi leave that out? That's one question that we have to clarify over here. Another question which I see that the Mizrahi asks is the Mizrahi says that if it's really talking about the miracles that Hashem did, so why does it say Asher Asa? It should say Asher Nasu, right? Kasha. Im ba'avor anisim shenasu lo haylo lam risaper evet es kol advar misher nasu lo. What's called advar misher asa? Asa implies that Eliezer did it, and should say Nasu if there are miracles that are coming from Hashem. So the sefer called Divrei David, it's written by the Taz. It's way back. We're talking about from about 500 years ago. So he answers this question. He says that the Torah does this sometimes. It speaks in a abridged wording, and it really means Asher Asa Hashem. The word Hashem is left out. Sometimes the Kadosh Baruch Hu does that. He leaves out. It says, like he said in the beginning of Bereshis, sometimes that the Torah is abridged. Maybe he also means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is showing his humility. It's like leaving himself out of the picture. That's one answer. But it's a nice answer. Could be. Basically saying that it's Lav Davka. It's not meant to be taken literally. But I thought maybe there was something else here. I saw then afterwards the Maral. And the Maral says like this. The Maral says that, what does it mean, Asher Asa? Right? Right. Because it was coming through Eliezer's actions. The walking, right? Ani b'yom echad alachti, and also his tefillah. So it's Asa. Eliezer did it, right? Of course it's coming from Hashem, but it was through Eliezer, through his walking, and through his tefillahs. And I believe the pshat is as follows, like this, that the Chazon Ish tells us that the last place in today's society, in the world, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu left miracles is in Shidduchim. So almost anyone who is married can tell you there was some very significant event, some more than others, that happened during their Shidduch that made the Shidduch take place. In fact, every Shidduch is a miracle because when you think about it, the person only really has one zivuk, at least according to the simple understanding. And how are you supposed to meet that zivuk? There's so many boys and girls out there. How do you get the people together? So that's itself miraculous. But often, in addition, Hashem does extra miracles to make the shidduch come about. So says the Chazon Ish, it's the last place in the world, in life today, that shidduchim take place. But the question is, so why? Why did Hashem leave it there? So one thing we could say is from the Rashbam. The Rashbam explains pasuk, and he says, why did Hashem make the nace? L'daski bas mazlohi. We have to know that she's the right one. HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes miracles so there's a little sign that she's the right one that we should marry we should marry the right person. But I think there's another idea here because we spoke about this not long ago that you're not supposed to daven for a miracle. Yet I asked Rav David Cohen recently, "Can I daven for a miracle?" And it was Shidduchim. He said, "Yeah, you could daven. You could daven you could daven for a miracle." So the question is, how can we daven for a miracle? You're not supposed to. And the answer is that a miracle is coming place. You're not supposed to daven for an open miracle because Hashem wants the anhagas hateva, the natural course of events, to continue in this world. He wants that because that gives people free choice. But we can daven for a miracle that will come in the guise, as it were, of teva. It comes in the guise of teva, and therefore, I believe that's the pshat over here. That this is why, also answering our original question, why Rashi spoke about the tefillah and the kvitza derech, because those two, even though they were miraculous, but they fit into the guise of teva. Right? The water coming up, it's no scientist can explain how you go to a well and the water will come up to greet you. There's no scientific explanation that I'm aware of, yeah, that can explain that, right? But okay, you got a little faster. Maybe you put some extra gas in the put on the pedal, or you came through Tila. Nobody really knows that was true. So those miracles, right? Those miracles you are allowed to ask for that they should come from Tefillah and Tefillah, and you're allowed to have, and we can have them. That's not called taking free choice away from people. That's not considered taking free choice away from people because it's still hidden. It's still a hidden ace, right? You're not supposed to daven for an open miracle, like if someone has a disease which is impossible, there's a 0% chance of survival. So you're not supposed to daven for shleim. But to daven for a shidduch, even though it might seem a difficult situation, you're allowed to daven for. And I remember I'm sitting almost in the very spot where I'm sitting today, just about here. It was about 11, maybe 12 years ago that I made an appointment to speak to Moshe Shapiro. We used to daven here every day, and told him about my personal situation. When my daughter was in Shidduchim, there was someone who was saying Lashon Hara about us, and we had no idea who it was. And Shidduch after Shidduch wasn't even starting because everybody got this person we didn't know who were, and just kept, ending Shidduch was what I started. And I told the story to Moshe Shapiro, and Reverend Moshe Shapiro is incredibly eloquent and poetic. He says to me, "Your matzah is completely impossible. There's no possibility at all that you can have any success in the situation." So, of course, that left me a little bit shocked and dumbfounded. And then he stopped and he paused. He said, "Rak tefillah v'zevadai only prayer is for death and help." And that was after that. I came to the coastal for 40 days, and Baruch Hashem, my daughter, was open to find a wonderful husband. And today they have 5 children, including 3 triplets. Right? And I remember after I davened 40 days at the coastal, it was Hoshana Rabbah. I was in the sukkah with 2 close friends of mine, and I was telling them how Shidduchim was quite difficult experience. And I told them though that it's all in a sign and Amunah. And then after I said those words, I banged on the table. And as soon as I banged on the table, my phone rang, yeah, and lo and behold, it was the shotgun calling. It was a shotgun calling, Rabbi Avrami Hartstein, and he said, "Oh, Avram David Zlaznik wants to go out with your daughter." 11 days later, she was a Kala, right? So it's all in the fist, in the bang, right? I've tried banging since then. It hasn't worked yet, but we're still hoping. In any event, right? So this is, I believe, comes out. It's a gewaldig, it's a wonderful shot in Rashi to answer our question, right? That why does Rashi leave out the be'er? And he talks about the tefillah, the prayer, and the shortening of the trip, because Yitzhak was only told by Eliezer the miracles which were could look natural. And that's also the answer to the Mizrahi question, why it says Asher Asa. Why does it say Asher Asa Asher Nasilo? Right? Because Eliezer really did it. It came through his tefillah and it came through his walking. Right? As Rashi says at the end, really Eliezer wanted a shidduch with his daughter, right? Alai, right? Rashi says at the end that after the shidduch had been concluded, so when Eliezer was telling the story over to Yitzhak, he said, Alai, he really, Rashi says that he really wanted Yitzhak to marry his daughter, but Yitzhak didn't want because he wouldn't want to be connected to Canaan. But and Rashi says there that really Eliezer wanted that should have. The Kutzker reveals an incredibly deep idea. Is that why does Rashi say this at the beginning, at the end of the parsha, not at the beginning? Because Eliezer didn't realize this in the beginning, right? It was so buried in his subconscious. Yeah, he didn't realize even that this was motivating him. But Eliezer overcame his bias and went, even though his daughter. So the halika, the traveling, was something that he was doing l'shem shemayim, and because he was so l'shem shemayim in the shidduch, so he uh, he was he was zoka to the nace of pizza derech, right? And so this is what the Maharal is saying. It's possible to say that he did it, that Eliezer did it, because it was connected with his actions, his tefillah, and his walking, l'shem shemayim. So this is something very, very important that we can learn, especially if you're have yourself or involved with shidduchim, or for your children, and it's very, very critical because it could be very frustrating, and especially when you're involved with shidduchim. All of your negative traits of yourself come out, right? If you ever did anything wrong in your life, then it's going to come out when you're in shidduchim, because people will air all of the things that you did or didn't do in your life. It all comes out, so it could be frustrating, it could be difficult, but like everything in ruchnius, it needs to be earned through Mesiras Nefesh. So the Mesiras Nefesh is dealing with the situation, even though it's hard. The upside is that that Hashem shows us miraculously who is the right one, but you have to look carefully. This is what the Torah is telling us. Be saper. Be saper means every single detail must be told, because it's only when you see the whole story, just like by Megillas Esther, right? Every single detail must be told, and if you miss one detail, one pasuk, you haven't heard the whole story in the nace. You might not see the nace. When you report about a shidduch, and you say every detail, you'll see that there was some miracle involved there. And the Netziv adds here in the Emek Davar, he says that and Sneas and Avos Chesed, right? That when you tell the whole story, you see what a wonderful kal you have, and what a wonderful chassan she got. What a shidduch, Rivka and Yitzchak. That was one of the big shidduchim of our history of Klal Yisrael. So don't despair if you're involved with shidduchim. Don't despair, and just keep davening, right? Keep acting like Shem Shemayim, following the footsteps of Eliezer Eved Avram. And if you do that, Hashem will send you bracha and tzlacha, tziyad shemaya, right? Again, it's hard, and I empathize with you in your difficulty. If you yourself are involved with shidduchim, or if your family members are, children, or whoever it might be. But don't give up, keep davening, like Ramon Shapiro told me. Ein shum sikor, aval rak tefillah v'zevaday yazor. There's no chance, but tefillah, even when there's no chance, tefillah can help you. So Hashem should give us the Yad Shmaya, should answer our tefillahs, and He should give us Kvitz Naderech. It should go much faster than we think it will. And in the schos of our tefillahs and acting and going L'Shem Shemayim, everyone should be zocher to Zivog Hagon, Bakar Mamish, Amen, Kain, Ratzon.